I use bands literally all the time. I feel like they are the answer to your problems. Hip dips, bands. Want to get thicker? You want to have like womanly curves? Bands. Okay. You don't have weights? Want to do weight at home? Bands. And you could still get thick. You could still get curves. When I do my workouts, 90% of it is with bands. And I've been loving the results that I've been seeing combined with the routine that I'm about to show you.
They don't know how good it feels now. I can't lie, it's good to hit that.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Raina. Welcome if you've never been here before. I do a lot of everything on my channel. Today though, we're gonna be doing a leg day routine, my one out of my 2 leg day routines. And just in general, before I take you guys into my leg day routine, I just want to go over really quickly with you everything that I use for leg day. And let me just say that 90% of my leg day routine has bands. I use bands literally all the time. I feel like they are the answer to your problems. Hip dips, bands. Want to get thicker? You want to have like womanly curves? Bands. Okay. You don't have weights? Want to do weight at home? Bands. And you could still get thick. You could still get curves. I just think that they work the best for my muscles. I know it's not for everybody. I know not everybody likes to use bands. But when I do my workouts, 90% of it is with bands. And I've been loving the results that I've been seeing combined with the routine that I'm about to show you. So really quickly, I'm just gonna take you guys through all the bands and like equipment that I use at the gym, because I think these things are good to have just in general, you know, like even if you're not doing this routine, I do think that these things are good to use, especially if you go to the gym like semi-often or plan on going to the gym semi-often at some point. And if this is something that you guys are already like well aware of, I'm still gonna put the timestamp on the screen for when I get straight into the workout. But for those of you who actually wanna know what to use and like what I use on leg day, keep watching. This is gonna be super quick. So the first thing I'm gonna show you guys are the bands that I first started using when I first started working out. So these are the bands, like this is the brand that it's from. I don't know if they sell these in the pack that they used to anymore, but it's literally just like rubber resistance bands. I'm not a trainer. I don't know the names for all these. You see them. The point is, like, you see what I'm you know, showing you. So if you can find something like this similar on Amazon, you won't even have to do the work. I'll link everything down below. But this is what I started using when I first started working out, just because these were enough resistance for me. So they come in like different levels of resistance. I know I only have a couple in my bag right now, but you know, like this is a harder resistance. They have been stepped on a few times because again, they've been through it for years at the gym, but they have like XX heavy. They have like all these levels. Like I said, I'll link it down below. Those are super helpful. And then as I started working out a little bit more, I started noticing that the resistance on these was feeling a lot easier because my muscles were growing and they were getting used to the weight. So I started using heavier bands. And so the heavier bands that I started using look like this. And they're just made out of this really thick material. And if you order these on Amazon, these come in three levels. I usually either use the middle level or the highest level of resistance. But depending on which one you get, the colors are gonna be completely different. And then while we're still talking about resistance bands, one of the other resistance bands that I use are for my warm-up. And so when I warm up, you'll see when I show you guys my leg day routine, but for the warm-up, I started initially with like body weight, with like the squats and that kind of like RDL motion. But as I started training with bands a little bit more and with resistance, my muscles started growing. And so I started adding more resistance. And so originally I started with this, and this is basically a, what's it called? This is like a pull-up band. Usually people use these to assist them with pull-ups. I use them in body weight workouts, body weight squats, body weight RDLs, if that's what you call them. And so I started out with this resistance, the green ones. Again, I don't know if all the resistance colors are universal, but I'll link everything down below. And as I started progressing and as I started working out a little more, I progressed to a much thicker band. And so this is what I currently use for my body weight, like squats and RDLs and everything. Just in general, workout gloves are amazing to have. I personally, some people just don't mind. I personally just don't like calluses on my hands. I like my hands still staying soft and everything. I don't think that you could avoid calluses. I feel like they're gonna come at some point, especially if you're working out often. But I don't know, I just don't see the point of my hands being uncomfortable if the exercise I'm doing, for example, like if I'm doing deadlifts, I don't see the point of having my hands hurt and be uncomfortable if the deadlifts are gonna be for my legs and for my core and for my glutes. I just don't see the point of making my hands go through it. So I prefer to have weight gloves. You need a weight belt. You don't necessarily need one. I prefer to use one just because my spine is like a little curved. So sometimes I have, you know, like lower back pain, and sometimes I just want to make sure that my lower back is supported in general. And especially whenever you start lifting, I feel like these are really good to have because not only do they help support your back and just stop the lower back pain, but they also help support your core so that you could start getting familiar with the form, especially if you're like arching your back or doing weird things with your back at first. It's always good to have like support there because that's one thing you don't want to do, like mess around with your back while you're doing squats and all that. One of the other things that I stopped using but I still always have in my bag are these little ankle straps. They're good to use for like the cable machines if that's what you prefer to do. I also have these little weight clips. And the reason why I keep these around is because as I started going to the gym more and more, I started realizing that people don't like to put their, I was about to say something else. People don't like to put their stuff back. And so sometimes like you're going and while you're working out, you just want to go from one machine to the other, you know, like, and you don't want to have to worry about having to look for a weight clip. That is like a pet peeve at the gym for me. So I decided just to get these clips from Amazon. They're really easy. They're not like the ones that you have to like squeeze, take off, and then squeeze and put back on. Literally all you have to do is like unclip it, slide it through the bar, and then just lock it in place. And that's that. They're purple, I'm not losing them. I can distinguish them easily from like other people's clips at the gym. It's just way easier. I know I don't have to look for clips when I go to the gym, and it's super reliable. So the next thing I would recommend, and I don't have it in here with me, I think it's actually in the car, but just like a squat pad is really good to bring because they don't always have squat pads at the gym. And I'm telling you now, it's gonna be uncomfortable, and depending on how sensitive your skin is, it may leave bruises if you don't squat with the squat pad and you're squatting like heavy weight. So I would definitely recommend one of those. And then the last thing I would recommend for like a leg day is just a jump rope. I don't always jump rope on leg days, but it helps just to, you know, like get warmed up and get your blood flowing, get your body warm and sweating before your workout. So that's it for all the things that you're gonna need at the gym. My camera's dying, but I'm gonna take you guys through the workout and you'll see everything I do on a leg day. So the first thing that I usually do before starting my warm-ups and my workout is dynamic stretching. And I actually just started doing dynamic stretching. Up until about a month ago, I was actually static stretching all the time and never had a problem. But just to be safe, I switched over to dynamic. So I do these little side lunges about 10 times. And then I do these leg swings, kicks. I call them leg swings. So I do 10 on each leg facing forward, and then 10 on each leg with my legs swinging to the side. What you think about that? What you think about So now I'm gonna go ahead and get into the warm-up. And y'all, these absolutely demolish my legs before the workout even starts. These are seated banded hip abductors. What I'll do is alternate positioning with my legs. So I'll do 30 with my legs stretched out a little more, and then 30 with my legs a little closer to my body. And you'll see me start to struggle a little bit in this because it burns like crazy. I'm not even gonna lie, but this is an amazing kind of like glute activation before the workout. And the way I always like to think about it is the more I struggle now, the better the results I'll see later. So again, I'm okay with the pain. I usually feel it like all of my hips and butt, and I swear these are one of the main exercises that helped my hips fill out. And since I've been doing this warm-up for a while, I usually use 2 bands, but 1 is also fine. And form here is usually super important. I always make sure to keep my back straight, my core tight, and my heels in the exact same place on the ground, so that the only part of my body doing the major work and feeling it the most are my hips and legs and outer glutes. So I'm trying my best to like give y'all the terms. I'm sorry.
Yes, like that. I got a new man. He's waiting out back now. What you think about that?
These are another warm-up / exercise. It'll get you right, but burn like crazy. I'm letting y'all know ahead of time. It's also amazing for glute activation. The first ones are banded RDLs, which are these. And as far as form goes, I just make sure to keep my core tight to help me keep my back as straight as possible. And I also try to look straight at the ground when hinging to get the full extension, because that's when I feel like I feel it the most in my butt.
Shaking myself. Now what you wanna do? I wanna be flawless, shine flawless, flawless. Been in the pants with the spoilers. I said 3 course meal, take the night you vented. But still, everything's real when it's real. Everything's real when it's real.
And then I alternate these with banded squats. And with the squats, I just make sure my heels are directly on the band, so that it's easier just to keep the correct form. And then when I come up, I make sure to keep my core tight again. And I make sure not to fly up. Like, I know it seems like I'm going a little fast in this video, but I'm still going slow enough to be able to feel it in my legs. I feel like when you rush up, you don't feel it the way you're supposed to. The next warm-up I usually do are banded sidewalks. And again, I do these with 2 bands, but 1 is also fine. And form here is also super, super important. So when walking to the side, I make sure to maintain a low, deep squat, so that even if I'm not moving anywhere, I'm still able to feel the depth of the squat in my hips, my glutes, my legs. I feel it everywhere. And when I walk to the side, I make sure that my legs, that I'm using my legs to push against the resistance. And I'm not like leaning, I'm not doing anything to throw my body to the side. I don't want to do anything to give my body momentum. All the movement should come specifically from my legs. And these to me feel very similar to hip abductors. And listen, if I'm really trying to put myself through it that day, sprinkle in a little bit of razzle dazzle. I do 10 jump squats, like banded jump squats, and these usually finish off my legs before getting into the workout. So now I'm starting my workout, and I start by doing some hip mobility stretches. And ever since I started doing these, I feel like I've been able to go deeper into my squats, which ultimately means better results. And for some reason, it also reduces soreness for me. So every time I squat, I make sure I do hip mobility. So now I'm just getting into the warm-ups with no weight. And this, again, just helps me to get my form together and just get my body into the motion before I actually start lifting weights. And ever since I started doing this, I've felt like squats for me are a whole lot smoother. Progressing in weight has been a whole lot smoother. I don't know exactly what those hip mobility stretches do or what these warm-ups do, but I just know my body feels so much better afterwards. So now I'm adding weight, and as you'll see, as I start progressing or going up in weight, I wear my weight belt so there isn't as much pressure on my back. And I brought this up in the beginning. I usually don't feel much because keeping my core tight usually protects my back, but it always helps to have the extra support. So again, when I start lifting heavier, I just make sure to wear my belt. Hip thrusts are an absolute staple for me in the gym because I feel like they help so much with building legs and glutes. So I usually warm up with a lighter weight and then go up each set. And I'm still working on better form when I do these because as I watch it back, my form's a little bit better now. I filmed this like a while ago. But as I watch it back, my chin should be to my chest the whole time. So only really my lower body's doing the work. But anyway, with these, I always like to pause for a little bit at the top because I feel more of a burn that way. And then in between my hip thrusts, I usually like to do these banded side lunges. And for me, the key to feeling it the most is making sure my movements are slow and controlled and making sure I get deep into those side lunges. Make sure though, because this happens to me sometimes too when I come back from vacation or sometimes like TMI, but if I'm on my period, I feel weaker. And so with these, it doesn't matter how much weight you do, how much or how little you do, just make sure your form is right. And if you feel yourself struggling, if you feel your body kind of compromising and not giving you those deep squats like you need it to, don't be afraid to go down in weight and continue to work your way up over the next like few days or weeks or whatever. Okay, so this is another favorite of mine. So if I'm not doing those side lunges, sometimes I'll switch those out for these banded RDLs, also with weight. And again, it just helps to target similar muscles. But again, if I feel like I'm getting bored with the side lunges, I'll usually do these. You could do either one though. So the next exercise after that is leg press. And the thing I always try to focus on is just making sure I never straighten my legs completely when I push to the top. Also alternate where I place my feet on the platform depending on where I want to target. So if I want to hit everything, I usually place my feet more in the middle of the platform. And if I want it to be a little bit more glute focused, I place my feet a little farther apart and keep them like at the top of the platform. Alright y'all, so for the infamous hip abductors, the one thing that I always try to remember with these is just to keep my core and back straight so I don't feel like anything else is compensating for the weight that my legs are pushing. And I did not believe in mind-muscle connection at first. It may just be a placebo thing, I don't know. But every time I touch like the outside part of my glutes and do these, I tend to feel them a little bit more there. So now I'm in a habit of doing that, and it's been working for me. All right, so these are extra. I don't always do lunges on my leg days, but if I want a challenge, I usually will. I don't do these with bands or anything, just a weight. And I go up and down the court, like the length of the court once. Or if I'm inside the gym, I usually do this up and down the treadmill section. So the second to last exercise are calf raises, and I don't always need a machine for these. Sometimes I'll just hold two 35 or 45 pound weights. And again, I just make sure to keep my core tight, my back straight. I also have, I had weak ankles from a track injury a while ago. So a huge thing for me is just making sure that my ankles stay straight and stable. All right, so the very last exercise are side kicks. And whoever tries to do this workout, I'm so sorry that you have to do these in the end, because these will finish your legs off. I know I've been saying that, but these right here will do your hips and glutes in, okay? And the most important thing here is just keeping my upper half straight, because it will try to compensate if I don't control it. And when I kick to the side, I just try to keep my foot at a 90-degree angle and the plate on the bent part of my knee, because that's when I feel it the most. And you can also do these with cables and do cable kicks instead, but I feel like these with the plate just work way better for me. All right, guys, so that's it. That's all I do for my leg days. And then after that, I'll usually just stretch, and you could do whatever stretches work for your body in the end. But that's it. I'll put some more workout videos on my channel, but thank you so much for watching this. If you try it, feel free to let me know, DM me, comment down below. Let me know how you liked it, because I'm interested to see how this works for other people. This has been working for me for so long. So again, I'm interested to hear what you guys think. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.